Whatever the world throws at you, take it on.
This is my fight song. Take back my life song.
Be unstoppable. The all-new 2015 Ford Edge.
And welcome to the lobby of First Financial Bank in this 5th edition of the Coach Misty Wilson radio show. I'm the voice of the Tarleton Texans, Kelton Weens, and for the next half hour, Coach and I will take a look at the last week in Texan basketball, preview the upcoming week, and go around the Lone Star Conference. We'll also hear from Texan senior guard Raven Mcgrath during the show. All right, everyone at First Financial Bank, put your hands together and help me to welcome the second-year head coach of the Tarleton Texans, Misty Wilson. Coach, coming off a 14-point win over Midwestern State. We'll talk more in detail about that game a little later, but how great was that to avenge an early season loss on your own floor last night?
Man, it felt good. We talked earlier about during shoot-around about how, a blowout would be nice.
Yes.
And just a relaxing win, and I thought the girls responded well, played well, and I think we all felt like we let one get away from us at Midwestern, and I think we were all pretty disappointed in our performance, me and the players as well. So it was nice to get that win.
Coach, let's jump back to Saturday night. You hosted Texas A&M Commerce to round out the month of January. You took that game 71-64. I didn't get a chance to talk to you afterwards, but general thoughts on that game?
I thought our girls played very well. I thought our post players played extremely well. It was good for Pot to have a great night the way she did. I thought Bree had some big baskets down late in the game that really helped us put it away. And they did a good job guarding their post players who were very strong. They crashed the boards, and probably the biggest thing, which was a key to the game for us, was the offensive rebounding, and that was an emphasis for us all week. And they averaged about 15 offensive rebounds a game, and we held up to 8, and that was a big difference in the game.
Commerce had come into the game losing 2 straight conference games, and you had lost 3 of 4. Was that really a must-win for you?
I feel like every win, every game is a must-win for us, and that's what we talk about with our players. We try not to pick and choose which one's more important, because every one of them is important for us.
Coach, the only lead for Commerce in the game was when they led 2-0, and you led by as many as 11, but Commerce tried to come back. Great effort by your team to hold them off throughout the game, for sure.
Yes, they responded well, and that's one thing I try to tell our players. When we get a lead, they're going to make a run. Every team does, every good team does, and we have to be able to sustain those runs. And I thought they did a good job, and they make a run, and that takes so much effort out of a team to get back into a game, and then our girls, would kind of get back on the pedal again and pull away, and you could just see Commerce's demeanor just drop.
Ipakua Wobi, 18 points, Bailey Whiff, 17, Raven Mcgrath, 11 points. A good night for you offensively as well.
Yes, I thought everybody was aggressive, got the ball inside, and I know our post players are playing very well, our guards are playing well, have all year, and it's a good time to be kind of getting into a rhythm there offensively.
You mentioned it a little bit earlier, but rebounding was a huge deal in this one. Commerce came into the game second in the conference in rebounding at 43 a game. You hold them to 31 boards, and you have 42 yourself. 32 points in the paint. You mentioned it. Commerce has got some real trees underneath the basket.
They do. They have some big, strong girls, and they're very good at getting position when the shot goes up, and they're athletic, so they can jump. And again, I thought our guards, our post, did a great job of blocking out every shot that went up.
Defensively, this is a Commerce team that had just scored 113 points. Granted, that was against Darlington Baptist, but you forced them into 18 turnovers, 11 of them steals.
We pressed them some, and I think just our aggressiveness on defense, our guards pressuring them, keeping them from doing what they wanted to do, keeping them from turning the corner, and then forcing them into making bad decisions. I think that was probably what led to a lot of those turnovers is forcing decisions. And we try to tell our girls, you're not necessarily trying to steal the ball, you're just trying to force it into a decision.
Shamari Harris with 19 points, really a good player for Commerce.
She is. She's very athletic. She had good mid-range game. She can get to the basket. Yeah, she played very, very well.
Coach, we'll move on to last night's game. You beat Midwestern State by 14, 63-49. Thoughts on that one? You're really in control pretty much throughout the game.
I thought our girls jumped on them early. and again they made their little run, and we were able to sustain and maintain our lead. And that was, to me, that was a very physical basketball game.
Yes.
And I thought our girls did a great job of kind of playing through that, not reacting, not kind of losing their minds. And a lot of times they were getting fouled when they were going up, and I never saw them just fold to that. And I think that was a big deal because it was a very, very physical game.
Brianna Fuller with 12 points, Tiara Tatum a career high 13 points, Bailey Whip 11 as well. But I want to talk about Tiara. She played in 12 games a season ago. She's played in every game so far this season. She's really done well for you. And where can she go from here?
Well, I think she's going to continue to get better. T comes to practice every day, and she gets to play against, our 7 or 8 best in the guards and the post. And so I think she's doing a great job of using those opportunities to get better. And one thing we try to stress to our girls is you never know when it's going to be your time. And actually today we talked about how, last year was hard on T. All these girls, they come from being, the player for their high school team for the most part. And it's an adjustment. And last year was very hard on her, but she hung in there, and she's doing a great job this year. And every day she comes ready to work. She plays defense. She does all the little things right, so she's improving every day.
Coach, you go to the free throw line 29 times. Again, a physical basketball game. You make 20 of those free throws. Midwestern State just 5 of 14 from the free throw line. That really was kind of a hidden difference throughout the game.
Yeah, I think we have like the Plowboys and the Pooh and the 1,500 people that were in the Wisdom Gym last night for our game. But yeah, they're really funny with some of the stuff they yell, and I think that really bothers them whenever they get it to the free throw line. So.
Whitney Taylor, we talked about her a little bit yesterday, but 21 points, 9 of 15 shooting. Credit where credit is due, Coach. She's a good player, and she's going to continue to be a good player for Midwestern State in the future.
She is. She's she's a bigger guard, but she can play post for them too, and she kind of plays the 4 some. She plays the guard some, and she's deceptive, and she's a very smart player, and that's what that kind of sets her apart and allows her to do what she does. Is she knows she's not quick, she knows she's not fast, but she knows how to use it to her ability, to her likeness.
18 rebounds in the first quarter. You finished with 44 total. You out-rebound Midwestern State by 15. Really a nice effort again on the boards.
It was, and that was one thing I thought Brianna, she struggled from the field there for a little while, but she was crashing the boards, she was getting offensive rebounds and putbacks, and I thought that helped her stay in the game. And Pot, what she does on the rebounds. She's so good about using her body as well, even though she's undersized. But those second opportunities and those defensive rebounds, you've got to have them.
You move back to 5-5 in conference play. How big is that to get back to 500 in LSU play with just 6 games left?
Well, it's huge. I mean, there's kind of a logjam there in the middle of the conference standings right now, and we're right in the middle. We're right in the middle of it. We're 1 game back from Cameron, who's in 4th place, and 1 game ahead of Commerce, who's right behind us in 6th. So, every win is nice.
Well, that's going to do it for our first segment here on the Coach Misty Wilson radio show from First Financial Bank. When we come back in 1 minute, Texan senior guard Raven Mcgrath will join the broadcast when we come back right after this.
She's been great. I mean, like I said before, she's tough as nails. She's a good team leader. She shows up every day ready to work. I mean, she never takes a day off, never takes a possession off in practice. And I know her teammates love her and respect her, and I do as well.
That was head coach Misty Wilson on Raven Mcgrath that I asked her about yesterday, and she really thinks a lot of you, Raven. You're the 8th player in Tarleton State history with 500 points, 200 rebounds, 150 assists, and 100 steals. That happened in a loss to West Texas A&M. Please help me in welcoming senior guard Raven Mcgrath to the Misty Wilson radio show. Raven, those were great things for Coach Wilson to say about you. What say you about that?
About what she said or about Coach Wilson?
Yeah. Coach Wilson, too. Yeah.
Well, kind of the same thing goes hand in hand with Coach Wilson. She doesn't play, but she coaches. She's always there, every play, always trying to get us energized. I respect her so much as a coach, as a person. She has such great morals and tries to instill those in us along with basketball skills and life skills, So I'm just as thankful for her as she is for me, I guess.
When you're out there on the floor, Coach Wilson will she'll disagree with the officials often. Does that have an effect to you on how you play the game? Like, hey, that was, probably a bad call, and, we'll go on and keep playing.
It doesn't have too much of an effect. I think Coach Wilson stresses to us, let me take care of the officials and y'all just play the game, So I think it would be really bad if I were to let it have an effect on me, because Coach would not be happy about that. But no, it doesn't really have too much of an effect. I mean, refs are gonna mess up sometimes, and then you're gonna think they messed up, but really it was the right call sometimes. You just kind of gotta play through.
Coming off a win over Midwestern State, talk about that one, 14-point victory over the rival.
It was really nice. It was something that we needed, We're coming off a 2-game streak now, and I really think we're on like our uphill rise. The past few games, even WT,
Right.
we lost to them, but it was a good game, and we hung with them the whole time, and so it just felt good, I think we're definitely on that uphill.
This team has played completely different, really, since the Midwestern State loss. Texas Women's was very close. WT was very close. You beat Eastern, you beat Commerce, and you beat Midwestern. What was the change? Was that really kind of the valley?
Yeah, I think so. I think, we had a few things leading up to that, and then when that happened, I mean, we knew that we should have beat Texas Women's. We have all the potential to beat them, and we just didn't execute the things that Coach was telling us. So I think we really buckled down. We listened to what Coach is saying and put that into action rather than just hearing it and doing our own thing. And so, yeah, I do think that was a big turning point for us.
Now, switch gears a little bit here. You did something in the off season. You went to Mexico.
I did, yes.
Where in Mexico did you go again?
I went to Guadalajara.
Where is that in the grand scheme of Mexico?
It's south some, but I'm not so great at geography. It wasn't close to the border or anything, but
Near Mexico City?
it was, I think, 4 hours from Mexico
Okay.
City, so it was kind of close. But yeah, I went on a physical therapy internship there, and it was really neat.
What did you do in Mexico? What does a physical therapy internship do in Mexico?
When I was there, I worked at a hospital, and basically I was a physical therapy assistant. So I would do all the workouts for the patients and do ultrasound for them and do stim and things like that while the actual physical therapist there did the paperwork and kind of oversaw what I was doing. So it was a lot of hands-on work. It was really neat.
How long were you there?
I was there for 3 weeks.
Wow. Do you speak any Spanish?
I was able to actually. By the end of the trip, I was able to carry on a full conversation with. I call her my Mexican mom, the family that I lived with. I was able to have a full conversation with her, but it's really true. If you don't use it, you lose it. So I don't know that I could now.
Where did you see any of the sites around Guadalajara and the rest of that area of Mexico?
Yes, I did. I went to some towns. I went to Huachimantones, which is it's Aztec pyramids that are in a town close to Guadalajara, and I was able to see that. And Tonalá was a place where they have lots of artists there, and they decorate all sorts of things. Salt and pepper shakers. I got my own some salt and pepper shakers and different things like that. It was really neat.
Now, switch gears again. One thing that I think is a fascinating hobby-ish of yours is jump roping.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How did you get started doing jump rope? If you've never seen Raven jump rope, it's really unbelievable.
Well, jump rope is kind of a big thing at Grandview. We have a team called the ZZ Skippers, and pretty much everyone when they're younger, they're on the team, and then as they get older, they kind of veer off into different things.
It's not cool.
Right. Well, my aunt was the coach, so my mom was like, no, you need to stay in it. Your aunt's the coach, be nice. And then after I stayed in it for a few years after my mom told me to, then I just fell in love with it. And, I grew out of my awkward stage, and our team was actually pretty good. So then we ended up going to Canada for the world competition and then South Africa for the world competition. So I just really fell in love with it after, I guess, I started getting better.
Jump roping can really take you places, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have to practice it, or is it just come a little bit more natural to you now? Or
it's still natural. When I do Midnight Madness, I just practice maybe the day before I do that. But if I were to like be competitive again, I definitely need to practice a lot.
When we were in Vegas, Raven found the jump rope machine at the arcade, and she would continually get the jackpot just every time. She would always beat it. Now, time for a rapid fire round.
Okay.
I'm going to run through just a series of just random things. Get to know Raven Mcgrath a little bit more. Just kind of give me your first thing that comes to your mind. Favorite color?
Blue.
Favorite movie?
Grease.
Grease.
Yes.
Favorite band?
Journey.
That's a good one. Favorite song by Journey?
Don't Stop Believing.
Of course. Of course. Favorite type of music?
Classic rock.
Favorite teammate?
Can you ask that? Man.
Bailey, what should I do, by the way?
I would probably say Bailey.
Favorite television show?
Friends.
Will you bring Game of Thrones for Kelton to watch on the bus?
Yes,
On the next
I
trip?
will.
Okay.
I will.
Your favorite quote?
Well, I don't know it word for word. It could not be a favorite quote if you don't know it word for word.
No, general idea, yeah.
So it's like it's not the amount of breaths you take, but the amount of
Moments
moments that take your breath away.
Yeah.
That's it. There you go.
Favorite sport not called basketball? I know you used to run track and used to play volleyball as well.
Probably jump rope though.
Do you have a Super Bowl pick?
Nope.
And that's fine.
Not
That's
at
totally
all.
fine. I love this question. If you could have dinner with one person throughout history, dead or alive, who would it be?
Jesus.
It's not a bad choice. Your life goals. Where's Raven Mcgrath in 10 years, and 20 years, and 30 years?
Well, I want to go to PT school, and then hopefully own my own firm one day, and start a family and all that jazz. But I'd really like, I don't know if you're familiar with the Lab for Wellness and Motor Behavior at the Kinesiology building.
Yes,
But basically,
yes.
basically it's a lab where people can come in and do rehab, essentially for free. And there's people my age, in college that help them out through their process. And I think it's a really neat idea. It's not very costly for the patients, and you can get donations and things for the equipment used, but I think it's a really neat idea. I think it's really good for people once their insurance runs out to pay for physical therapy and things like that. And so I'd really like to see how I could implement that in different areas as well.
What's your best Coach Wilson story? One that you either will have to pay for by running or not?
My best Coach Wilson story. Oh my gosh. Okay, so can I say the one about the bus driver? Okay, so she was, so we have this bus driver, Jim, and he's like our favorite. We love him. And we were on the bus or something, and she fell asleep, and she was like, Jim, you should feel special. Usually I can't sleep on the bus, but I'm able to sleep with you. And we were like, she was like, I mean on the bus, like I'm able to sleep on the bus while you drive. It was really funny.
Final question, Raven. What do you want your legacy at Tarleton State to be? We'll kind of go down a bit.
I don't know. I don't know that I necessarily want to leave like a legacy of myself, just I want to have a good season for this year. I want Coach Wilson to have a good season, and I don't know. I guess for out of everything, I want this team to like get something more than just basketball out of it, So I don't know that I really have anything that I want to leave, but probably with my teammates and like with Coach Wilson, like I want to have an impact on them, not just in basketball, but like in everyday life type stuff.
Well, thanks very much for your time today, Raven. It's been great, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
When we come back in 1 minute, Coach Wilson will rejoin the broadcast. We'll look at the upcoming week in Texan basketball. This is the Coach Misty Wilson radio show on the Tarleton Sports Network, presented by the North Texas Sport Teams. And welcome back to First Financial Bank in Stephenville. Joining me again is the head coach of the Texans, Misty Wilson. Coach, first of all, Raven told a little story about you. Do you have a story about Raven?
Well, I feel like everybody's kind of looking at me differently now. It was just a miscommunication, y'all. But no, Raven I probably have stories, but I probably couldn't come up with them off the top of my head. You give me time, and I could probably come up with several. But yeah, I will say that one time in practice, Raven and Pac had one of the hardest collisions I've ever seen in my life, and it was just a matter of one or the other. I don't know, not paying attention, but that was brutal. And Raven popped back up like she always does.
Fortunately.
Yeah, fortunately.
Coach, let's preview the upcoming week in Texan basketball. On Saturday, well, tomorrow afternoon we head to Lawton, Oklahoma, but you play the Aggies of Cameron on Saturday at 2 o'clock. National Farm Life pregame show begins at 1:45. Cameron coming off a loss last night to Texas A&M Commerce. Did you see anything on film about that game?
I did get to watch a little bit of that film this morning. Didn't get to watch a whole lot of it, so I didn't even make it to the second half. But just the fact that Commerce held them to, I think, 47 points is pretty amazing because Cameron can score. They can score, they can score fast.
Dayla Threat leads the Aggies 13 points per game. She had 30 in the last meeting, so definitely she is a threat to score the ball.
Definitely, yes. She will be one of our focal points for sure.
On Wednesday, the Texans remain on the road for a date with the red-hot Angelo State. ASU swept West Texas A&M this season. The only two losses for WT. It was a 112-111 triple overtime victory for Angelo State. Canyon, what a game that was.
Yeah, we were watching the live stats in my office after the game, and you can't tell a whole lot by live stats, but yeah, what a great Division II game. I'm sure the atmosphere there was amazing, and just great for our sport, really.
Coach, let's talk about the Lone Star Conference this last week and talk about the schedule coming up. Angelo State beat Texas A&M Kingsville on Saturday, 81-61 in San Angelo. West Texas over Eastern New Mexico, 67-45 in Canyon. Cameron demolishes Midwestern State, 87-59 in Wichita Falls, and Tarleton over Texas A&M Commerce, 71-64 in Stephenville. On Sunday, Texas Women's over Midwestern, 64-58 in Wichita Falls. On Wednesday, Tarleton over Midwestern State, 63-49. Commerce over Cameron, 53-47. We talked about Angelo State, 112-111 winners over West Texas, and Eastern New Mexico over Texas A&M Kingsville, 67-42 out in Portales. Coming up this week, tonight, Texas Women's visits Texas A&M Commerce. Tarleton at Cameron on Saturday at 2 o'clock. Eastern New Mexico at Angelo State. Commerce at Midwestern. West Texas at Texas A&M Kingsville. We think that we have a hard trip to go from here to Kingsville, but it's about 13 hours from Canyon to Kingsville.
Yeah, that's brutal. I think one year they got one of those sleeper buses where they had like the beds laid down, so yeah, I can't imagine.
Then on Tuesday, Eastern New Mexico visits Texas Women's. Wednesday, West Texas A&M at Midwestern State. Tarleton at Angelo State, and Commerce at Texas A&M Kingsville. That is on next Wednesday, and then next Thursday, Cameron hosts Eastern New Mexico. So we'll take our final 1-minute break here on the Coach Misty Wilson radio show. When we come back right after this, we'll wrap up the 5th edition on the Tarleton Sports Network, presented by the North Texas Ford Dealers. I'd like to thank Domino's Pizza for our pizza today for our live audience here at the bank. Time for giveaways. If I call your name, go down and see Miss Kathy over at the easel. You flip around the card and reveal your prize. The prize is today a Tarleton hat and t-shirt, First Financial Bank shirt, and a First Financial Bank umbrella. Our first winner today is Jeanne McKendry. Congratulations. And our second winner.
And our second winner is Scott Copeland from Foul Play. Best basketball band in America.
Jeanne won a t-shirt, a Tarleton State shirt. Congratulations. Do you know that you can request songs from Foul Play?
Did you really?
Yeah. I requested one from Dr. Westbrook last night.
I probably shouldn't do that in the middle of the game.
What song would you have Foul Play play if they said?
Well, it depends on how the officiating is.
True. Time for some quick announcements. Thanks to everyone for coming out today. Be sure to catch the Coach Lon Reisman radio show tomorrow on at Bruner Motors at the corner of Lillian and the South Loop. Deshaun Riddick will be our guest tomorrow for the Coach Lon Reisman radio show. Be sure to download the new Tarleton mobile sports app. That's in the iTunes App Store, the Google Play Store for Android. Search Tarleton Sports. It allows you to listen to live radio broadcasts, watch streaming of select home games, as well as keep up with live stats and a whole lot more. That's the Tarleton Sports mobile app. If you want to stay up to date on Tarleton home events, text the word Texans to 95577. That's Texans to 95577. Texan softball, good luck to Julie Mata's team. 2-0 on the season, facing East Central and St. Edwards today in San Antonio as part of the St. Mary's tournament, 10th ranked in the nation. The Tarleton Texan softball team, good luck to Brian Conger's Texan baseball team as they're in Houston to play in Minute Maid Park. They play Arkansas Monticello tomorrow at 10 a.m. In Houston. Texan Tennis gets their season underway tomorrow on Saturday with a home match against Texas Wesleyan. That's 10 o'clock in Stephenville. Lance Drake would really appreciate the turnout there. But be sure to get your tickets for the Lone Star Conference Tournament. You can get them from the Wisdom Gym ticket office through February 28th for $45. After that, they're $60 at the gate in Allen. You can reach them by stopping by the ticket office or by calling 254-968-1832. The next broadcast of Texan basketball is this Saturday as the Texans head to Cameron to take on the Aggies in Lawton, Oklahoma. National Farm Life pregame show begins at 1:45 with a tip from Aggie Jim at 2 o'clock. Coach, final question. It's Panthers and Broncos in the Super Bowl this week. It's a big week in America. Who are you going to take? I think I know who you're going to pick, but who are you going to take? Yeah. What?
I love Peyton Manning. I mean, who doesn't love Peyton Manning? And I'd love to see him go out on top. And I really like the Broncos defense. I was a huge fan of DeMarcus Ware when he was at the Cowboys. I hope things go well for him.
I can't bring myself to root for the Broncos. I'm sorry.
Bless your heart.
That's going to do it for the 5th edition of the Coach Misty Wilson radio show. I'd like to thank Raven Mcgrath for stopping by. Always a pleasure to talk to Raven. Aaron Young, our producer back at the KTRL studio, does a great job. We throw a lot at him every single week. And thanks as well to our on-site engineer, Mr. Jody Lee Cottle. Thanks again, Jody. Nathan Burrell, Ryan Cox from Tarleton Sports Information. They do a great job as always. Texan graduate assistant coach Jake Stevens for all his hard work throughout the season. Domino's Pizza for today's lunch. First Financial Bank for being such great hosts as always. And most of all, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for listening and for your support of Tarleton Athletics. We can't do what we do without your support. So for the second year head coach of the Texans, I'm Kelton Weens saying so long, and we will talk to you on Saturday afternoon from Lawton, Oklahoma.